Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, April 29th, 2019. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The Kingstown Central Market came to life on Friday evening with activities organized by Invest SVG for its inaugural night market. The event was deemed satisfactory and will be made a regular feature as part of the government's program for the renewal at 40, which is in celebration of the country's 40th anniversary of independence. Larissa Pugsley-Kidd tells us more in this report.
It was an evening of entertainment as well as a showcase of local goods and services as the Central Market in capital Kingstown came alive on Friday evening for the inaugural night market, which ended about 11 p.m. Persons got the opportunity to visit the various booths mounted and at the same time enjoy the fashion show and musical entertainment organized by Invest SVG. Hailing the event as a success, Minister of Finance Camilo Gonzalez commended Invest SVG for the initiative.
So what we're doing tonight is launching something that we hope will continue to add some vibrancy, to add different elements to nightlife in Kingston, to bring people out, to bring families out. Not everybody wants to go to a fete in Heritage Square, nothing wrong with a fete in Heritage Square, but sometimes you want something different, you want to enjoy some culture, you want to bring your family out, you want to have something to eat. And these are the types of activities that we want to implement in Kingston as part of Renewal at 40. To wake up the town, to vibes up the town a little bit, and to help small business people make $1 at the same time.
Representing the board of directors for the market was Marlon Nanton, who said that the additional feature of the operation of the market is a welcome one.
Just shy of its 20th anniversary, here we are tonight, presenting to Vincentians a new and improved shopping experience, a bountiful hub of viticulture and food.
Chairman of Invest SVG, Tony Regisford, said that creating an enabling environment for business continues to expand and persons could capitalize on the night markets, which will be held every last Friday of every month.
Small, medium, and those that are large in size, and from the various sectors of manufacturing, agro-processing, the creative industries, the services sector, and the mercantile community. Specifically, this night market is meant to provide a platform to drive sales for the participating businesses and vendors or traders.
Some of the companies which took part in the inaugural night market included both telecommunication companies and the National Insurance Scheme. There were also a number of booths with clothing and craft. Invest SVG's Executive Director, Annette Marek, said she is encouraging more businesses to get on board and get registered for the next night market.
All are welcome to take part in this initiative because it is free of cost. So, as I was walking in tonight, I met persons on the road and they were asking me if they could come and take part. And I was yes, just come on in and take a table.
Reporting for SVGTV News, Larissa Pugsley-Kidd.
Meanwhile, exhibitors and vendors welcomed the initiative by Invest SVG for hosting the night market, which they say affords them the opportunity to expand their customer base.
I think this is amazing to our craft brothers and sisters that are doing craft. I think it will be a good upliftment for us. Well, we are on the street selling craft, and now we are in the market promoting our stuff, that lots of people could come and look at them and see the beauty of them, because if you notice, I have a lot of different local things from St. Vincent.
I think it's a very great idea. I'm happy to have the opportunity to showcase other person's work, because not everybody can afford to be in a store or to have their own business, but everybody is doing a little something. And this market today has given many persons the opportunity to showcase what they're capable of doing. So I think it's a wonderful idea, and I hope that they continue with it.
Well, if somebody order, right, like for instance, you have this from the crochet, somebody order, I'll make it. I just sit and make them at home. I never really exposed something like this, so I'm glad for the opportunity. I heard about it when they had the expo in October. I wanted to go, but I was not feeling well, so I didn't, But then now I heard of it on the radio. I read it in the newspaper, so I said, it's time I go out there, and expose myself, So I'm feeling happy about it.
I think it's a good venture. It's different than other different exhibitions we normally see. And the market is being occupied to do it, which is, I think, is a very good idea. And I hope that it will continue.
We must give the organizers of this session this afternoon kudos. It's the first time in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we are very much pleased and we appreciate it very much, so that persons can see what we do and they can come and taste as well our products. We do salted plantain chips, we do unsalted plantain chips, spicy breadfruit, spicy potato.
Though trying to get accustomed to the night market, some of the vendors welcome the initiative, which they say will also be good for late shoppers.
Every month, well, I think it will be good, but I doesn't like the night sale. So I think it will be good for other people. No other custom go home early.
Yes, it's the first idea of it. It's very nice and it's interesting. They should have it more and more and more often. Support it because the first time and it's very nice.
How the sales?
The sales is not too bad. For the night market, the sales is not too bad at all.
No, because I'm tired and I want to go home. Only for meet my little girl. And you're the one that's going youth meeting, so you're the one that's be home. Yes, so that's why they pack up early. We're still around and still going on. Well, the idea is good, it's not too bad, but where I was thinking first that the old market where they break down, they could have used that mix up over there, use it and do the night market over the other side. That was thinking about.
Love it, I love the late night, I love it. I get into it at night. I sell kitty, praise God.
I not just late shopping, she's my schoolmate. So, I come to give her a sale too. I come to buy a little thing from her and so on, so that she could get a dollar like everybody else. It's good because in other countries you go and you could go and get things late to buy and so on. I find everything here is just closed down at one time, and sometimes people can't get anything because they're coming from work and they can't get in the market because the market closed early and things like that. So I find it's good. I mean, it should happen more often.
The corporate sector is recognized as a crucial partner for the sustainability of the agriculture industry. And today, a wide cross-section of stakeholders came together to discuss the way forward for the industry. Today's workshop was designed to explore the potential of corporate social responsibility as a strategy and communication tool for the benefit of the agriculture industry. Coordinator of Windward Islands Farmers Association, Winfer Cozell Fraser, said the step taken by SVG to sign on to the Global Sustainable Development Goals was a triumph to those interested in the development of the agriculture industry, which creates livelihoods without destroying the environment. Fraser said the Global Sustainable Goals framework is a sophisticated one, which required the input of all stakeholders, and the corporate sector is one of those key stakeholders.
The Sustainable Development Goals was signed on to, we were really happy about it. But initially from the get-go, what we recognized, having signed on to these goals and these targets, it was going to be a tall order. That the old mechanism for engagement and for implementation could not apply, because now you had a development framework that was so sophisticated that you could not leave it in the hands of neither the private sector, civil society, or governments alone to accomplish it. And so this workshop on corporate social responsibility really seeks to address one of the gaps that we have in terms of how do we achieve the Sustainable Development Agenda by 2030, but it also seeks to engage a key partner who are critical, the corporate sector, in achieving sustainable development. And so having this session today, I think what we want to do is to really just begin a conversation, start a conversation with businesses about their own responsibility, their impacts on society and the environment, and how we could make those impacts be positive and be impactful, basically.
Meanwhile, Diversification Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, Colville King, said organizations such as WINFA and the Fair Trade Organization have shown great levels of corporate responsibility as they pursue the goal of ensuring livelihood is created and maintained through the agriculture industry.
They have in fact embodied the concept of corporate social responsibility. It is through fair trade, the implementation of the fair trade system, that a number of hazardous pesticides were removed. It is the reason why a number of farms have buffer zones now established, and so on. So while they were attempting to earn an income from bananas, they were also attempting to ensure that the river systems are not polluted, the sea is not polluted, that the land continues to produce at very good high levels of productivity. So I'm hoping that in this workshop that you're going to build on those practical lessons from fair trade, for example. It makes sense to build on the past.
The workshop was also held to discuss the use of smart technology to build resilience in the agriculture industry. King said it is important for corporate entities to see the benefit of investing in the industry.
Financial institutions that are liquid, and if you ask them about investing in agriculture, they speak to the riskiness. Well, the truth is that agriculture by its nature is risky, and what we need to do is to put mechanisms in place that can pursue development in agriculture by managing the risk. So we take in calculated risk to develop the agricultural sector. There is absolutely no dispute that with a vibrant banana industry, that many rural communities' livelihoods were sustained. And there's no reason why we cannot have a similar situation reoccurring if we invest fully in agriculture. So I'm encouraging the corporate sector and the financial institutions to invest more in agriculture and in sustainable climate smart agriculture, and with an emphasis on youth.
Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves is expected to attend an important shareholder governments meeting of LIAT tomorrow in Barbados on the way forward for the cash-strapped regional airline. PM Gonsalves is the current chairman of the shareholder governments of LIAT. Apart from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the other shareholder governments of LIAT are Barbados, Dominica, and Antigua and Barbuda. Earlier this month, PM Gonsalves said that LIAT may be forced to shut down after Caribbean governments appeared to be reluctant to provide the necessary funds to keep the company functioning. Speaking on a Grenada Broadcasting Network program, PM Gonsalves said Grenada was the only country who indicated a willingness to contribute to the U.S. $5.4 million needed to help the airline deal with its current financial problems. Meanwhile, Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brong says his government will never allow LIAT to go under because of the financial challenges it is currently facing. In relation to Antigua and Barbuda's contribution of $1 million of the $5.4 million needed to ensure the airline's survival, Prime Minister Brong said, even if the payments were not made, they will be made. The second annual Caribbean Safe School Ministerial Forum commenced here today at the NIS conference room. The two-day forum brings together regional ministers of education as well as other stakeholders in education and disaster management to discuss the issue of safer schools. Addressing the opening ceremony, this country's Minister of Education, Sinclair Jimmy Prince, said both the youth and the schools are vulnerable to the impact of disasters, which often destroy properties and displace people. Prince said, given the vulnerabilities of small island states like SVG to the effects of climate change, concrete steps have to be made to ensure the safety of schools and those who use them. He spoke of the Model Schools Safety Program, which is being piloted here in SVG and across the region, and identified the key areas it will focus on.
The program was developed to address the three components of comprehensive school safety, namely, 1, safe learning facilities, 2, school disaster management, and 3, general education with respect to disaster management. All schools from early childhood to post-primary schools now have access to a model school disaster plan they can use as a guide and adapt to suit their own school context. Many schools have formed school safety committees, organized professional development sessions for staff, increased awareness for students and sensitization for parents. Some schools have done complementary training in areas such as fire safety and are undertaking drills and exercises to test their plans. A model safe school disaster plan was developed and shared with all primary and secondary schools. Schools are working on adapting the plans to their own school setting.
The Education Minister said the creation of a national curriculum addressing climate change and the development of guidelines which will foster the creation of more resilient schools is key. He identified 2 projects which are designed to address these 2 key areas.
We are in the process of developing a national curriculum for climate change mitigation and adaptation and disaster risk reduction to be integrated in the curricula of secondary schools from forms 1 to 3. In support, there will also be a resource guide and teacher's manual, as well as training for new teachers and teachers in training, etc. This country, as one of the beneficiary states, collaborated with OECS in 2018 to develop guidelines for disaster-resilient schools, taking into consideration design, location, and construction. And we heard about the importance of this earlier. The project was done in consultation with schools, construction professionals, and other stakeholders to develop and review the guidelines. It is expected that with such guidelines that all new schools will start out as safe schools and existing schools will be improved to safer standards.
Antigua and Barbuda's Director of Education, Science and Teaching, Claire Brown, said since schools are used as both shelters and educational facilities, work must be done to build their capacity to deal with disaster management and educational continuity after a disaster.
Considering the vital functions schools serve for students and communities and the protective mechanisms they offer following a crisis, attention must be paid to their organizational capacity to respond to disasters and to provide educational continuity. Long before the disaster then, time and resources must be purposefully dedicated to preparedness planning. Improving knowledge and education around school safety planning is therefore critical. This takes the commitment of all of us to make this happen. If we in the Caribbean are to develop a comprehensive culture of disaster resilience, we must integrate disaster risk reduction into our school curriculum.
The forum, which continues tomorrow at the NIS Conference Room, is expected to contribute to the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency CDEMA Regional Comprehensive Management Strategy and Programming Framework 2014-2024. Students of the St. Martin Secondary School now have a new physical education and visual arts annex. The facility, which was funded by the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Electricity Services Limited (VINLEC), was handed over to the school on Friday following a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Chief Education Officer Elizabeth Walker said the annex is a plus for students and the school on a whole.
Our vision is and will always be every learner succeeds. This therefore requires a broad-based approach to curriculum implementation, a step in the right direction for this institution. No longer can subjects such as physical education and visual arts be viewed as marginal subjects in the curriculum, but be given center stage, allowing opportunities for all students to be exposed to these disciplines, which, according to our research, contributes to the cognitive and academic development of students.
Principal of the school, Wendell Edwards, said students have been doing well overall in physical education and visual arts. However, there is always room for improvement.
It's designed to promote students' knowledge, skills, and attitudes, not to impose limitations on them. Therefore, as school leaders, we should be visionary and work earnestly to develop our students in a holistic manner.
Chief Executive Officer of VINLEC, Tonley Myers, said there is always more that individuals and the corporate sector can do for education in SVG.
And I've asked myself, is that my only mission, to go to work and contribute? And I realized my own failing, because I think we as individuals who have achieved a certain degree of success should not only be involved in our academic or work endeavors. Our society asks more of us. Our society asks us to reach out to individuals. And I often say, the individual who we save, maybe our son or daughter we are saving.
The curtains came down on the 2019 SVG Gospel Festival last evening at the Victoria Park. This year's festival was held under the theme, A Glorious Celebration of the Gospel of Jesus Christ. The zonal showcase gave persons in communities across the country the opportunity to enjoy local performances of song, dance, and drama in an atmosphere of praise and thanksgiving. And Sunday's finale at the Victoria Park was no different. The festival director, Manson Short, thanked all those who contributed to its success for yet another year.
If you have blessed people with your songs or with your dance or whatever you did, give glory to God. If God gets the glory, that's great. I want to say to you that Gospel Fest will continue, and I am soliciting the support of the Vincentian public. Wherever you are, whatever you do, if you can contribute financially, support in your prayers, support in your encouragement, support in your criticisms or analysis of our programs, we will welcome you. But today, I'm really happy that we have come to the end of another year. And tonight, I hope that the items that are presented is going to give you an insight as to what happened in the various zones.
Short, however, added that more work will be done to encourage the participation of the youth in the activities.
I said to you, participants, those who participate in this year's activities, I've been hearing some of the grouses. I've been hearing some of the things that people have been saying. And one of the things that young people are concerned about is having incentives to be involved in Gospel Fest. But I want to say to you that this has been our concern. Very early in Gospel Fest, we had medals and certificates, and these things take money. But we will consider, and we were going to look into incentives as how we can encourage you to be a part of Gospel Fest.
Here is a snippet of some of the performances at last night's conclusion of Gospel Fest 2019.
Got me feeling good. Kept the faith and praise right through it. Happiness is here at last. Let me tell you how it happened. Some took over me. Got my hands and feet. Couldn't stay in my seat. Now I clearly see. So good. How good.
Jesus' eyes are open. No fear, no shame. All my chains erased. There is no bondage. Every chain is broken. All my enemies.
Come on, just worship the Lord, somebody.
Lord, my sins are gone.
You see, I'm no longer. You see, I'm a child of God.